to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. So, first up is designation of interim town manager as a special municipal employee. And Dennis, welcome.
Thank you. Back at this one, huh?
There you go. You're right out of the gate.
So, through the chair,
Yes.
as you know, the state law is specific about employees on people on boards appointed or elected and serving in multiple roles on behalf of the town. And they have a special law that allows this to happen by designating them by the Board of Selectmen as the authority as a special municipal employee. And you're not actually designating the employee, you're designating the position.
Okay.
So in this case, there are two in a row here for your vote, and your motion would be very simple, just to designate that position and make sure you use the words as a special municipal employee.
Okay. Okay. Questions or comments before we move forward? Do you want to do them both at once? Or you want to do one on one? And who wants to make the motion?
I'll make it.
Okay.
I move that we designate the town manager position and the animal control officer's position as special municipal employees.
I second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous.
To use interim, was it the interim?
Yes.
I'm sure she did. So right now, public input or board member updates. Anybody in the audience like to say anything? It is public comment. Yes. Pay attention, Lynn. You were reading.
Yeah, the thing I want to say is, want to thank, everybody for the new, newsletter and the update to the website is really helpful. And with the Upton patch picking up everything, it's really helpful to promote going forward, so thank you, Selectmen. And Kathleen Burns for not taking everything, it's very helpful.
That's great. That's great. And she's preparing the October version. So if anybody has any updates, get them to Kathleen. And essentially what we're doing is trying to put links into the newsletter, and then people know it's a one-stop shopping. You can find what's going on through that link. It has been posted to Mendon Upton Moms and Dads, Upton Moms. I copied it to Sustainable Upton.
Do you have any suggestions?
Do you have any suggestions where it should go?
Younger residents was that the only thing they really pay attention to these days is Instagram.
Well, I don't do Instagram,
I know, so.
but I will tell you that anyone who wants it, if you sign up for the text alerts or the email alerts, it will go direct to your phone. And if somebody can post it through Instagram, or Steve, if you'd like to learn Instagram, but it is.
I mean, 'cause as it was going, the big meeting that we had about communication, this is one of these things.
Okay, well, if we have somebody in town that wants to, that is computer savvier than perhaps those of us in this room and knows Instagram and would be willing to
Does
help.
the town have an
post-
Instagram?
The town does not have an Instagram account, so the town cannot post it.
Do we have
but-
a communications office or committee? Or is that the?
I don't think so.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Chair,
Yes, Lynn.
if, all you have to do is create a, Instagram account and link it to the Facebook account. And it's easy, and I'm not reading.
Okay,
I did.
I'll ask Kathleen if that's a possibility to link it to the Upton Facebook, but I am way out of my league right now.
I'm just saying that's a comment that I thought.
I mean, I don't know if Maureen and I both agree. Let's.
Yeah,
Ask
or if you'd
for it.
like to do it, I don't, I'm not gonna do
I
it.
don't know how to do it.
Okay.
Not on any.
Well, that's what I mean. I
But
think,
even asking, like, so is that something we want to ask?
you want to ask
That's-
Kathleen?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Okay.
we can get on it.
I don't know. I mean, you
I
know,
mean,
realize that
I don't
that's
think it's-
not
I don't think it's that-
Kathleen's
I don't think
main
it's that
job.
hard.
I don't think it's that difficult. If it can be done, great.
Well, it's the same with Twitter.
Chris, I was gonna say Chris Karen's hiding out in the back row. Maybe he could talk to Kathleen and might be able to take care of that since all of us might be. I don't do that, you know, I see Victor downstairs. Gonna do it in about 2 seconds. Okay. All right, anything else? Any other comments, questions? I don't see anything online, do you?
No.
Okay.
No.
Moving along. Request from Maya Grill LLC DBA Maya Mexican Cucina and Tequila Bar, change of liquor licensing hours of operation.
I don't know if there's anybody here tonight representing.
It did say 6:10, it's 6:06. We can skip over that and,
Indira is supposed to be here. She is the manager of Maya.
okay, she's coming in person.
She indicated.
Okay, then we'll skip over that.
and before I look through this too much, it looks like the motions aren't written in here, is that correct? Okay.
Okay, so we'll skip over that since it's 6:07 now, but that we're still early. B, vote to authorize interim town manager to execute contract with Ty and Bond FY 26 sewer system rehabilitation project.
Thank you. So in your packet, you have a copy of the contract from Ty and Bond for $30,000. This is part of an article that we had approved at the last town meeting for $130,000, which includes the next phase of our I&I work, which included some cast in place and some slip lining of some sewer lining that we had already made our promises to the DEP that was on our radar. And this would allow me to engage Ty and Bond to do the engineering and the design of the project.
Okay. Questions, comments?
On for a while.
Nothing, it's great.
Okay. Do I hear a motion?
I make a motion that we authorize the interim town manager to execute the contract with Ty and Bond for the fiscal year 2026 sewer system rehabilitation project.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
through you. I don't remember, what was the appropriation?
130,000. It was one of the articles for wastewater.
So we still got 100 grand left?
Yes, that's for the construction part of it.
Thank you.
Okay. We're still a little early. We'll move on to C, discussion on Holy Angels property, next steps and funding.
Through the chair, if I could do a
Yes.
brief introduction. I provided the board today a packet. I apologize that you didn't have it earlier, but it basically took a look at everything that we have ascertained over criterions reports for both their hazardous mitigation as well, remediation, as well as their original report. I also reached out to some of the resources that we have in town already working to assist us with probable costs for OPM and design. In addition to that, there is some correspondence from Criterion in regards to a question that we asked on behalf of the board regarding prevailing wages and an elevator. That's also included in there. And then there are some soft costs that were included. And as Criterion indicated, they did not have a contingency. And our industry standards for a project of this nature would be 10%. So that is also incorporated. So you're looking at the total package is the bottom line of this project. And I know what we discussed last time when we talked about the potential of putting something to get the ball rolling, not necessarily the total package. But to get the ball rolling, first you've got to identify the total package.
Did we get a copy of the lab report on the hazardous material?
We did. It's included in your, I included the page that speaks of their estimated costs. So for their estimated cost to abate asbestos and mold was $135,000. And their estimated cost to abate the lead paint is $55,000, for a total of $190,000.
And do they think those are solid numbers, or was that just what they could see? Like, what happens if they rip a wall off and there's mold, more mold behind? Does that?
Well, their investigation was extremely thorough, so.
Okay, that's what I wanted to know.
Found the report to be very thorough.
But that's what I thought, but I look at, sorry, occupational hazard, I look at enough disclaimers that say we don't look behind walls or under floors or ceilings. So I just wanted to make sure that this was, I thought it was pretty thorough, but.
As far as their pricing goes, I would have to defer to their expertise for something of that nature, but looking at their report,
Mhm.
they definitely examined that building very thoroughly.
Okay, good.
They talked about the insulation and everything that was wet in the wall
Yeah,
boards.
they
and all.
did.
Yeah.
Your asbestos looks like it's limited to tiles mostly,
I would say.
not necessarily friable. You're looking at things that are pretty stable if you walk through the building.
Right,
The worst part of this report that I see for anyone that entered the building would be the mold.
right. Agreed.
Yeah,
Yes,
that number, prevailing wage.
Yeah.
now it does.
Their number didn't, but I have prevailing wage on here.
Okay.
So your estimated OPM charge, your estimated design, soft costs such as advertisement, legal, miscellaneous, additional testing, digital survey, topo survey, these are all industry standards on what we could expect. We would engage in a contractor, and then a 10% contingency at the end gives you the total cost.
Yes, please.
Yeah, based on what we talked about and looked at last time, and discussed, what would you recommend? Would you recommend the full OPM and design amount, a portion of that, or what for fall town meeting?
So I think there's a couple of options. There is certainly an interest from CPC to endorse this facility. They seem to want to advocate for doing something with the facility based on the information that I've received. You have a couple of choices. You have the ability to go after the whole thing and decide, working through our own processes on how we're going to divvy up the costs and what that comes out to. And the second part is to take approach similar to what we've done in the past, where we know what the total number is, but to get the ball rolling, we have an estimate on what we can do to get it going, to get us closer to that mark. And interesting enough, if you look at Vertex's email, which is the last one, you will actually see where they broke it down for us and considered if you wanted to simply talk about hiring an OPM that would help you go through the designer process, do the designer selection, bring an architect on board, and begin the process. You're looking at the costs right there, the bottom one on both of those sentences.
Okay, so that's not even close to the full amount of the OPM and design. That's just a small fraction.
That would be the get the ball rolling. In other words, that would bring us, by the time that they had done the things that we had contracted them to do, we would be preparing for the Springtown meeting. And then you would roll into the big picture. Those amounts would come off that big number.
So it's the last line of the OPM and the last line of the architect.
Right. The 24,000 and the 61,200
Just,
are the two numbers that was recommended. Because, and they're so small because when I approached them, I gave them the indication that we were really looking for enough money to get the ball rolling. In other words, enough time to get an OPM. And then the OPM to assist the town with designer selection to bring an architect on board. And then the architect to begin the design towards 25% like we did with the DPW building. And about that time, we would be gearing up for Springtown meeting and you'd be rolling into the rest of the top number.
I mean, I've just had in my head sort of, since we've been thinking and talking about this for months and months and months and months, that we would be looking for somewhere between $300,000 and $500,000 in a fall town meeting, because that's sort of a material enough amount that it causes people to say, okay, do we want to do this or not, right? If we want to go first, you know, the 85 that they recommend, that's fine too. I don't know if that speeds us up or slows us down or sort of what, if it matters, but, you know, I certainly
Yeah,
would be
I
comfortable
see
with
what you're
either, I
saying.
would be comfortable with either one of those approaches.
So I took the board's direction at the last meeting and I tried to put something together that I thought reflected on what everybody was thinking.
It's good to have sort of a full all-in estimate of and just because not everybody can see this, 3.187 million. So $3,187,300. And that includes everything sort of soup to nuts, the renovations, the asbestos lead mold, prevailing wages, the elevator, the OPM, the design, and the other costs. So,
And a contingency.
and a 10% contingency. So, I'm
Excuse
sorry,
me?
what?
What's FF&E?
Furniture, structure, and equipment.
Right, correct, exactly, which, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and that would be a function of sort of who goes in there and what it's used for, and that's sort of.
Right, so we would do basically the shell. And then if somebody came in and said, I want walls here, it would be on them.
Partitions, lighting, paint, carpeting, those are all things that would have to be whatever direction that building ends up going, that's what decides that.
Yeah.
But this is more than just a shell. I mean, you're
This is-
getting,
This is bathrooms, elevator,
you're getting ADA
getting a
compliant.
ADA compliant building.
The elevator to access to both floors accessible, usable, or
System that'll maintain humidity levels.
fully wrapped, right, like secured, modernized
Yeah.
structure.
You have a first floor that will allow assembly.
Yeah.
Restructured the top, the roof rafters to be able to take today's code for snow loads.
Mhm.
It's a whole new roof is included in that. HVAC.
I
plumbing.
really wish we knew a steeple expert. Well, now that I know it's a bell tower, I don't know if you can put a steeple on top of a bell tower. Can you do that?
I'm gonna have to Google the difference. I mean, there's a bell in
In the steeple.
in the
over there,
steeple
yeah,
over
right,
there, so.
They got a bell and. a
Once again,
steeple.
just like Instagram, Laura's not a really, sorry. Yeah,
There is a bell.
well, because we were saying that,
Yeah,
right, I made a comment that it's a squatty steeple and I was corrected that it's not a steeple, it's a bell tower. And that's why it's squatty.
but it certainly is.
You know, you look at
it is-
everything for years and you just never really see it.
It's no resemblance of its original self, that's for sure. That's for sure.
Yep. Somewhere along the way it went down.
Mhm.
So basically, Brett, what you're saying is, you know, we run the risk if we come in and ask for 85. People are gonna, oh, that's great. We come in and say, hey, it's gonna be 3.2. What do you want to
Well, I
do?
think either way, we're gonna say it's 3.1 or $3.2 million to do the whole
Right.
thing. We're asking for this amount, and this amount is, I'm more comfortable saying 500,000 or 300,000 or some significant number. Because I think if it's under $100,000, like, people are just gonna sort of dismiss it. But if you put a $500,000 article in front of people, even if we've got CPC support to do that, that gives them something to like, oh, okay, wait a minute, you're doing what for $500,000? But
And I agree. And as far as, and I've spoken briefly with Dennis about this, I know CPC has offered funds and I just want to sit down with Kenny Coster and CPC and make sure, because we pledged CPC funds for the fields. I want to make sure that we don't have 10 hands in that one pot.
you
I
don't
want to
be
make sure
double
that there's a,
counting, right.
I want to double dip.
Yep.
And we can't, you know, that may change everything because I don't want to go to town meeting. We've basically verbally pledged CPC funds to defray the costs of the fields. And I want to make sure that we're not double dipping.
Yeah.
So, but that's an answer we don't have tonight.
CPC, through the chair.
Yes.
CPC at their last meeting, voted to move forward with 4 articles for town meeting.
Okay,
One of them the field, and the
Okay.
other 3 other projects.
okay,
2 of them were cemetery.
Yeah.
I forget.
okay, but that's
And
what I
they know-
mean.
and they know this
CPC
one.
is also not,
They know, but I think that the feeling was to get more information from the board, just for direction.
okay, yeah, I mean, I just want to see what the numbers are. Because I tell my child, just because you have checks does not mean you have money.
So I think that, so do we feel like the guidance is that we want to have an article for the full OPM and design, which ends up being 364, 55, 60? That's too much.
It's close to 8.
Yeah,
So if you wanted to, if I may, offer, you wanted to consider the opinion that you have from an OPM already working for us,
yeah.
which I would consider to be pretty concrete. And you wanted to add anything to that, I would recommend you add remediation of any of the hazmat materials that need to come out of there.
Got it.
You know,
So we have some initial OPM, we have some initial design, and
And
we've
then-
got the asbestos lead and mold remediation,
Yeah.
so they can get that work going.
But the roof.
be my
is still
recommendation.
leaking. It's the water's still leaking in there from the bell tower.
There it is.
So,
It is, but by the time they finish that, we would be at the Springtown meeting getting ready for the next appropriation. At a
Well,
minimum,
I
I would at
think,
least
I
get the
think Maureen's point is, if we're treating for asbestos lead and mold before we patch the roof, how
right.
does that work?
You
how
would,
much is the roof?
I don't know if they broke that. Oh, they probably did.
They did break that. Roof and roof trusses is 175,000.
And that's only if the plywood underneath is good or the wood underneath, whatever they've got underneath.
I mean, they inspected that, so that's. So I
Right,
mean,
the only problem with that is that's construction, and when you look at the building as a whole, you want to include all that together because that's how you get a better price.
yeah,
So breaking out the roof.
Well,
Well, I can't. see
But if
doing
we-
the Remediation and then have it still rain.
Right.
I think correct me if I'm wrong, but I think what Brett is saying is going to town meeting, ask for 500,000 and say, this is just to, get an OPM, study the design and address, you could probably
like some
remove
of the
the
initial
asbestos.
remediation, right? We
I-
just-
Well, we wouldn't be able to address anything until we had an OPM and an architect, because they wouldn't
Correct.
want you to touch anything.
Yeah, those are the first 2 things.
Right.
So we wouldn't actually be doing any remediation. It would just be that's some of the costs. And then on top of that, we're gonna have at least another 2.5 before we're done. And that's, everything, building costs keep going.
Like I said, I put this together for
Right,
discussion.
and that's why I'm sort of inclined to say, like, let's ask for a little bit more, because what I don't want to do is I don't want to ask for $85,000, have people sort of nonchalantly say, yeah, that's fine, and realize that we're sort of sitting on our
It didn't-
hands for 3 or 6 months
Right.
because we don't have money or we're waiting for Springtown meeting. That's all. But I don't know, there's not a lot of time between now and Springtown meeting either, so.
Dennis, this is chapter 149, right?
149.7C. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you have anything over $1.5 million. you have to have-
Requires an OPM. Yep.
Exactly. So we need the OPM. The question is, do we just go in and say, look, to study this and to get a design is gonna be $500,000, because that's basically where we're at.
I don't think
I don't think
that's,
yeah.
Well, you could remember that was
right, I think it's,
asking very little on the design side. So if you wanted to up the design greater than that, you certainly could.
maybe that's, maybe we just, I don't know, like I want to be able to articulate a clear plan to people if we're asking for $500,000. And I think that if asking for $85,000, I think we.
I don't think that's reasonable.
I think we need to ask for more than that and sort of make the point like, you're essentially agreeing to spend $3.2 million. And so that we know you're paying attention, this is $500,000 that we're asking for of that 3 million. and sort of get people to reflect on that and make their decision.
Yeah, they're gonna need to understand if we do this, that it's
Yeah.
500,000 now and it's
2.5 when.
2.7 when we,
But it's gonna be important that we identify exactly what that 500,000 is going.
Is going with
Yeah.
that, that's gonna be the key. So I'm
Which I'm sure I could work with, the companies that I've been working with and nail that down.
okay, sort of pin it down. So
Yeah.
look, this is the number that
This
this
that
wants
makes
to
this
go after.
makes the most sense.
Let's do it and let's figure out what the
Chair?
sequencing or the language is or.
yes,
I would-
Maureen.
I would prefer to wait until the Springtown meeting. You have more voters out to vote. For 500,000 now, you're kind of forcing, the project. Cause you're not gonna spend 500,000 without finishing the project. That's ridiculous. And I don't think that's fair to the people. If you want to go forward with this, I'd go to spring and go the whole schmeal.
That's a problem. Because it is, I,
I mean, I think just as many people go to fall town meeting as Springtown meeting, based on my experience, but.
I don't know.
I don't think so.
I don't know.
Nowhere near.
And what's sort of the advantage or what are you thinking?
I said, if you go for 500,000 now and you're kind of forcing people that if they're gonna spend this amount, that it's a given that we're gonna do it at Springtown meeting. I wouldn't mind going with the, what Dennis had written up with our own OPM that's on board right now would be 85,000, but at 500, I think that's.
And even if we went with the 85, you know, then we have to make clear that, look, the 85 is just a study. And there's a bigger number.
Doing studies, what are we studying for $85,000? What are we doing? Like, we're just.
Well, for 85,000.
I mean, I know we're gonna spend the 3.2, and I know it's a lot of money and we don't want to put people in a position, but like,
Right.
if we just keep kicking $50,000 and $75,000 articles down the road, like we have been for the past 5 years, we're like getting nowhere. That's my concern, is that we're sort of continuing to just draw this out, and it's like, I either want people to vote for it or not vote for it, and I want us to be able to move on.
What I hear from the board is that regardless if you go for the 85 now or the 500 now, you're gonna be upfront with everyone that the whole package is $3.187 million.
Let's call it 3.2.
But that
Yeah.
3.1 is only an estimate.
This is an estimate, but it's a
Now you
a
get,
pretty strong estimate.
well, if you get the OPM in and everything, I think it'd come up with better. Right.
But still, I mean, we might as well just call it 3.2 because it's just with those numbers.
3.187, that's fine. Call it 3.2, I think we're
Or-
splitting hairs, but I think that, right, we can't keep saying like, the whole thing we did over this summer was paid to get an estimate.
Right.
So this is an estimate. Everybody knows what an estimate is. It's an estimate. So maybe we need to know what's the plus or minus on the estimate, right? Because sometimes they'll say, hey, this is within 10% one way or the other, or 20% or 30%. Do they do that? Do we know that?
You won't get that number until you have a designer on board and they stop working on
Yeah.
designing you know what I mean? And then,
But I
like you
mean,
heard from
this
the
is-
DPW,
so
get the
what's-
30,000-foot flyover
Yeah.
at the beginning, and the more they design,
Yeah.
the more accurate that number gets.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mr. Flaherty,
Lest I step on Mr. Manager or Mr. DPW director's toes. I'll put my DPW building committee hat on. The DPW building committee will be coming before you within the next couple of weeks. To bring you up, keep me up to date as to where we are and where we'd like to go. I have reason to believe that we'll be coming to you with $2.5 million to get through construction documents for the DPW facility. Now, if we could mention at other meetings, there are needs. And there are one. And I gave, this is one out of paper that I found that
Google.
Google, the difference between needs and wants, not anybody can find it. But, I understand there's been a lot of talk going for many months about well-being. What I would like to know is how much money is this group who wants to use it? And I think 140 Arts, I think they have a name, and I know they've got 501(c), and I know the gentleman sitting behind. So how much money are they gonna put into this? Because I still come back to, I want this to be the Hopkinton Center for the Arts. They have Hopkinton Center for the Arts. There's $1 town money. That they, town of Hopkinton, I over town meeting, gave the Terry Farm project through the HCA people, right? I'd like to know how much money this arts group wants to put in, how much money they think they can put into this building. And if they say 250,000, 300,000, that doesn't cut it.
Through the chair.
Yes.
How many years have we been kicking the DPW down the road?
20.
Yeah, and I,
Maybe 10 on this one. Keep in mind, Madam Selectman, that this building came online in 1995.
I know.
All the documents out there say it was a 30-year building. Guess what?
We're at
It's
30.
30 years. And we've kicked this down the road, as you said, for at least 10 years. And we have millions of dollars worth of equipment down there that needs to be properly protected. Pretty soon, we've talked about having a wash bay. DEP comes and asks the director every so often, what are you gonna do about this? When are you gonna put this thing in? Eventually, they're gonna say, no, you're gonna do it right now. You're gonna put it in the salt bay, with a tight tank and everything else that has to be involved in it. So,
This is a phenomenal conversation to have on town meeting floor.
it wants and this needs. Well, it's still, it's the board's decision to put these things on the warrant. It's a conversation we had with me 3 weeks ago.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
did I step on your toes at all?
No, sir. I wear steel toe shoes.
So do you think we're looking at the 100 or the 500, or what's your sort of feeling on it? You're literally and figuratively in the middle here.
I am, Laura likes to walk right down the middle. Yeah, I don't know what to do. I mean, because I also know I had a conversation with Dennis and we're looking at a roof on this building.
Yeah,
Am I correct?
we are.
And that's another
That was revealed. in the
huge.
Study, when they were working on, I won't call it a study because it's not a study. It's an evaluation of the exterior of the building. Right. And it's an evaluation of the exterior of the building, which I was anticipating would need repointing and sealing, maybe some glazing around the windows. You know, one of our problems is the roof itself. The roof is failing. It needs to be redone. So that's going to be included in the price. I am hopeful for the board's information that I will have the draft warrant put together by the end of the day on Friday. I'd like to get it all to you for the weekend, so you can start thinking about the articles that we have. Some of them will have dollar signs with them. Some of them I'm still waiting for dollar signs, but there's placeholders for everything that we have discussed, including this time.
Yeah, I think placeholders and I think, you know, I think when we, if I may, Mr. Flaherty, I think when we do need a DPW building. I mean, we're gonna be fined and it's gonna be exorbitant if they start finding us. And we need, if we need a roof, I'd like to know, I don't think this is an inexpensive roof. I have no idea what I would guesstimate it on. But if, you know, quite frankly, I will give Mr. Flaherty his due. He's right. If we need a roof and we need a DPW building, as much as we may have holy angels in our heart, it's a want. It's not a need. We cannot let this building go. We cannot let DPW be fined, because when DEP comes in and finds us, it's by the day. It's not, whoops, here's some money here and here's some money there, and they are unforgiving. And when they make up their mind, just like we all were pretty shocked about the Mendon Street Bridge going out, you know, they came in and they shut it down. They do not take any hostages. And they don't care about, well, but we. So I'd like the numbers.
Getting fined. I just want to be mindful of potentialities versus sort of like, I don't want to get ourselves in like scare tactic mode.
We're
No,
lucky, we're kind of small on their radar. They tend to go after the cities that are not compliant. They have been for years. They're understaffed. So, I mean, we've been escaping it all this time and I suspect we will for the time being. How long? Well, that all depends until someone decides they're gonna fund that aspect of the DEP and they're gonna become strong-armed on it. But we're not the only town in this situation, but we are dwindling down in numbers. Most of the cities and towns in the Commonwealth have addressed or are addressing these needs. And to help the board with your deliberation, there are some missing things to consider really for this evening. And that is, one is, there are gonna be quite a few articles on town meeting that are gonna require financing and how we're gonna pay for those. And there is gonna be recommendations from myself as your interim, from the finance committee and from your finance director. And it's gonna help you all put things in perspective on what we can and cannot afford and how strongly you feel about one project over another. So looking at it right now is kind of tough because you're talking about one particular project. We're going to be talking about all of them soon. And we're going to be talking about the finances of all of them soon.
so I mean, the bottom line is we have placeholders. And I'm not a firm one for kicking things down the road, but I'd like to see all of our placeholders a little firmer before we make a decision with any numbers tonight, because as we know, we can reopen, we can put things on hold, we can pass over things. But I am one that likes all the details. You all know I'm anal. And I like the details and I like as firm as I can. You know, I'm also a big picture person, which makes no sense, but that's the way the people little brain works.
So you.
Madam Chair, can I just object to provide
Okay,
some
there's somebody with
clarification?
their hand raised. I don't know who because I can't read the screen.
Robertson Consulting.
Okay, Catherine.
Catherine Robertson,
Yeah.
I believe you have your hand up. I hope you can hear
Yeah,
me.
I can hear you. You guys are beautiful this time. Can you hear me?
Okay, hold on a second. Keep talking because we can barely hear you. Can you say
Okay.
something?
Oh, that was good.
Hello?
That's a
I'm
little bit
yelling.
more.
Can you hear me?
Good, now we can hear you.
Okay, I'm yelling, so tell me if I should talk softer. You know, I would have
No,
You're
come to
good.
the meeting in person. Okay, I would have come to the meeting in person tonight, but I have an injury and I can't walk. So I did want to provide a little bit of clarification about the Community Preservation Committee meeting the other night, because that came up several times. A quick synopsis is we did, I believe, through our chair, write a letter to the Board of Selectmen summarizing on conversations. And basically what we said is the estimate that was given was based on the premise that the building will be used as a public assembly space, which to the best of our knowledge was never determined. It also included mechanical, electrical, plumbing, ADA compliance, interior finishing work, plus a few other things. What the CPC was considering, and we tentatively scheduled a public hearing based on what comes out of the meeting tonight, was to entertain a motion to fund the structural stabilization of the building. And I think this is consistent with what you folks were saying. It was, the roof and roof trusses, I think were 175,000. The steeple, or whatever it's called, in the report, they call it the steeple, was 35,000. The building envelope replacement and insulation was about 290, but I don't think that all would be necessary because some of that was interior work. And that was what would be required to stabilize. So Mike Antonellis, the town planner, did a back of the envelope estimate of about 400,000 to stabilize the building, which would give us time to see if there is an agreement in place with the 14840 Arts Group, and if that's something that's viable. And, you know, if not, it would give us time to look at where the parking is, you know, give the planning board time to look at things. And so, you know, in our mind, the motion before us, especially when it comes to funding, is very premature because it's more of a concept. And it's also our understanding that the whole need for the OPM is triggered by to achieving the end use of that building as a assembly space. So that's what an OPM will be doing, is he'll be working on convert, or he or she or it will be working, a group of company will be working to achieve the end goal of an assembly space. And, you know, again, that's hasn't been decided, I don't think, if that's what it's the will of the town to go for. And it's also my understanding, if the total amount does not exceed, I think it's 1.5 million, it does not trigger the need for an OPM. So what we were hoping to do, and there was a vote on it by the CPC, is to, you know, consider funding through the CPC. And yes, there is money there that we would be able to do over a period of time and fund some of our other obligations as well that we already have in place, like the fields, to do the structural stabilization so the building doesn't fall down. And that would give us time. It buys time. And I know folks are frustrated in general about, you know, throwing money at a building without a purpose yet. But, you know, in all honesty, it seems like it's getting there. So I just wanted to fill you guys in with what, you know, the CPC had discussed and what we were willing, you know, to put forward.
Yes, please. Yes.
Hi Kathy, it's Dennis. How are you?
I'm doing fine. Well, I'm not doing fine, but that's a whole nother story. So
Sorry to hear. So the only comment that I have is relevant to our Uniform Procurement Act. And what you're proposing, if the end result ends up being over 1.5 million, regardless of how you go about doing it in phases, the Attorney General considers that bid splitting. So if your end result is to end up putting more than $1.5 million into that building, and you simply choose to do 500,000 of it now through CPC, and then more of it at the future town meeting, it's going to be considered bid splitting. And if someone contested it, they would win.
but is there a decision to use it as a public assembly place?
I think that's sort of our default stance that we're designing for. That's what we're doing the renovation to accommodate. I don't think that that's been decided.
I don't think we've determined.
Yeah,
And
I
if the
believe that
town-
has to, sorry.
If the town is gonna lease the building, they gotta go out to bid.
yeah.
I mean.
Yeah.
There's no given.
I mean, maybe.
I believe it has to go before the town to vote, if the town owns it, what that town is used for. So that therein lies
That's,
the double edge of the sword. What are we designing for? Because we don't know the end result, because as it sits now, nobody wants it.
I think that we have a template and a guide because we're not the first town in the Commonwealth or in New England to renovate an old church. So there's a lot of good models for how these spaces are utilized, and that's the model that's been utilized for the past 12 to 18 months as we've been moving through this process. And so I think, you know, building this as an assembly space as the default is sort of consistent with that vision. And I think that what we were just talking about in terms of CPC having $400,000, maybe that's how we get to that number, is we do 100 from the select board for the OPM and the design based on what was in here, plus 400 from CPC. And we explain to the voters like, hey, look, this is what we're doing. This is all part of one thing. And there's these other things coming. We've got a DPW, we've got a roof, we've got other things. Let's lay all of that out for people and let them decide. I think that could work. The numbers between the CPC and what we have is 100, maybe that's how we get to the the close to 500,000.
I think we have to be pretty clear too, that there has been no determination of how that building is gonna be used.
Totally, totally. There's a vision for it.
There is, well.
Dennis, let me ask you, in terms of, if you want to call a hierarchy, is assembly space the strongest build? In other words, if we designed it for an assembly space, but somebody said, I want to put offices in there
Or
or
restaurant.
meeting rooms or a restaurant, we would have overbuilt it and it would be acceptable. So, you know, if you do a restaurant or would a restaurant be an assembly space? So,
There's two restrictions that you get
yeah,
by not building it for an assembly space. One is you can't use it for assembly because your
Right.
first floor won't hold it.
Right.
And two is, you lose your 9-foot floor space, your ceiling space on
Yes.
the first, in the basement. So that was why criterion based on what they heard from the board
Yeah.
figured into redoing that first floor.
Right.
So it could hold assembly and maintain 9 feet of ceiling space in the basement. So you still have all that usable space.
But
so
I- can I ask
assembly
a question?
space, I guess, is a multi-use. So if it wasn't specifically for, would a restaurant, could something else go in besides just a wide open assembly space?
Yes.
Right, if we build it
So-
as, I'm gonna try to ask that a little bit differently, 'cause
Yeah,
I know what you're after,
Good.
which is. We're building it at, if we build it out as an assembly space to serve that purpose. Is there any other use that would have a higher order of structural requirements? Or is that the highest structural requirement is for assembly space?
A lot smarter than
Okay.
I did. I said, he sounds a lot smarter than I do when he asked that one.
I just taken what you said.
Designing it and redoing the first floor to meet
Yeah.
code for assembly space.
It's
You
the
do
highest
everything
best.
on it.
We won't ever look back and go,
Okay.
oh, if we had only knew we were gonna use it for this purpose, we would have built it stronger.
Right,
That's not, we're building
Okay.
for the strongest.
You want to build it strong enough so you can put a motorized man lift in there, not have to keep going up and put staging if you want to get up to the ceiling.
Sounds great. I like the enthusiasm.
I believe that is part of the age of all the ages. That is, let's say Capefield Trail,
Yeah,
that.
they can't paint it because they,
Right. Or a man. Here.
hmm
okay, yeah.
It will, when we're
That
done.
was,
It will when we're done with it.
that was mine. I wanted to make sure we were doing the highest so that we didn't
That's
turn
right.
around and realize we can't paint a ceiling.
Right, or we've got somebody that really wants to do this awesome thing in there and we can't because we didn't make
Okay.
it strong.
I still think I'd like to I personally, and you two can give me your opinion, would like to table this until we have more numbers.
Yeah.
And we've got a placeholder. That's all we need. We've had a discussion. Yes, Mr.
Through the
Huckabee.
chair, can
Oh,
I
wait a
add
minute.
one more clarification, and it gives you numbers.
Absolutely.
There have also been 2 warrant items, I do believe, I was aware of one, passed in the last 2 or 3 years. I think last spring, $63,000 was appropriated for painting the exterior of the building. And that
Yes.
was not done because they can't paint it without doing the repairs to the envelope. And I do believe, according to Earl Phillips, and I'm not, and Rick Porter, there was another bigger appropriation of over 100,000 for roof repair that was done a couple years ago. So those 2 have already passed, which may limit the cost a little bit more. And I think that's why the CPC was looking at between $200,000 and $400,000. So it'd be a good idea to get those numbers as well.
Yeah,
I'm not aware of the balance, through the chair, I'm not aware of the balance of the roof. That was when Mr. Medici was here, that happened. I have a placeholder on for consideration of the board to take the remaining money, all of the money that's left for painting and apply it to this.
All right, but I still think we get all of our ducks in a
Yeah.
row, get a firmer warrant,
Yeah.
know exactly where we're going and what we should and should not ask for.
Yeah.
Great point,
let's not
Steph.
finalize any numbers until we see all the numbers.
Exactly.
Right.
Okay, I think, Yes,
The question that I would be asking on. If it were done, where are people going to park? And I think you need to be prepared for that question.
Yep.
And have a explanation.
I agree, because that roundabout, and it kills me every time to say it, as a New Englander, I will perpetually use the other R word, is going to be directly in front of it. And somehow, how would you get anything in or out of that building? Because there is no access from behind. There is no legal access. Thompson's own riparian rights, she goes right to the middle of the river. So, we do need to figure that out. Especially, you know, it would be very difficult to put an elevator in a building that somebody could not park close enough to access. And usually it's if you can't walk 100 feet, you get a handicap.
That we could use the parking lot of the community center. It's more than feet. And I don't know if the VFW would have looked at that. Because the shared parking agreement that the town has is for the community. It's not for some other.
No. It's a very valid point. All of this needs to be brought up, and we need to get our numbers
And
and.
let's remember, we looked at that, right? There was a presentation that we got from the Economic Development
Right.
Committee that outlined different options for adding parking to that space in different ways, some of it working with Mrs. Thompson, some of it working with the parking that we have there. Obviously, parking is a challenge. You're not gonna dream your way out of that reality. Trust me, you know, there's people who've been here far too long to know, to think that we're gonna not have to address that or have an answer for that. And
Right.
if that answer isn't good enough, like absolute minimum, what we would have is what sort of is at the gravel parking lot, right? Turning that into some kind of parking, putting in a couple of, I know you're shaking your head, but I'll be done in a second. Putting a couple of handicap spots, 1 or 2 handicap spots next to it. I don't know if you can do that at where it goes down now. I think that there'll have to be a curb cut there from the state because it's there now.
There would be.
And then you've got, you know, we're looking at spots that would be by Fin and Feather potentially. Maybe there's some potential parking there. So there's a few different options, but they're limited options, right? Because,
Back to state road.
yeah, that's just the way it is. So.
Lynn,
Lynn Kennedy through the chair, to, Mr. Westgate. Areas of assembly have to have a certain amount of parking, is that not correct? Isn't that the law, if I'm quoting it correctly, so, areas of assembly, so.
If you designate the final use.
If you
Correct.
designated, and
Yeah.
then the area of assembly is required to have a certain amount of parking.
Correct.
How far away?
Handicap parking is one designation.
Yeah.
And that's no more than 200 feet away from the opening of the, correct?
Thought it was a little less, but
I think it's, yeah, it's a little less than that. And then go, with the regular parking, here it's an area of assembly. So based on the capacity, the area of assembly must be that large. Parking.
Yep. I don't know why you're shaking your head. I agree with that.
No,
we do. I mean, these are all,
We gotta figure that out. I mean, that's part of the issue.
if this makes it on the warrant, all of this is very valid to make decisions moving forward.
because-
But what I said last meeting was something, you know, it needs to be presented, but I don't, whether or not it makes the warrant is another story, but I don't think 3 people should determine the fate of that building.
No.
Too strong on either side, but where we go with it, it will be our decision, you know. So, all right, we'll table that. I would like to go back to a request from Maya. Is anyone here? Sue, did
So
you see
there's
someone?
Somebody online and
Okay.
it's just on by phone. I can,
Okay, if you,
if I unmute them or you want
Ye-
to ask if it's.
yes, please. The person that's attending the meeting on phone, I don't know if you're here for the Maya Grill. If you are, can you unmute yourself if you can hear me? And if you're via phone and you're not the person from Maya Grill, can you just say that's not me?
Can I type?
Or type something into the chat? I don't even know if I'm being heard. 'Cause apparently last week, nobody heard us. Sounded like Charlie Brown's teacher, huh?
It's a little blurry too.
Yeah, the vision's a little, I thought it was me.
Are
No,
we good?
I don't want to say the number. Yeah, that's the only one I could say.
Okay, so do we move forward without anyone from Maya being here?
You certainly can.
Okay.
Posted agenda.
It's now 6:56. I'm going to go A, request from Maya Grill LLC, DBA Maya Mexican Cucina and Tequila Bar, change of liquor licensing, hours of operations. Dennis, I don't know if you want to handle this or I can. I mean, nobody is here from Maya, as far as I can tell. They are requesting we extend their liquor license until 2 AM. And our chief of police has written a letter stating he is not in favor. Do we have any discussion, comments, thoughts?
Is it worth just noting some of his concerns for the record?
As I'm scrolling furiously through our 182 pages, if I can find the chief's.
That letter came after, I think.
I know, it's just where it is. It's so hard to find Sue online. I have a new computer. I'm not hooked in.
is that it there?
These are the emails. I'm looking
Yeah.
for the letter.
Does that tell me?
So do you know, that would be great if you have the letter and you want to read it. That is perfect.
Sure.
Because like I said, it's tough to scroll through 182 pages. Is somebody at the door or?
Lock it.
The chief of police concerned with the, he dated it September 5th, 2025. In response to a request from Maya Grill LLC, DBA Maya Mexican Cochina, an extension of their liquor license, hours up until 2 AM. I ask you to consider my concerns. While I fully support local businesses and the economic benefits they bring, I respectfully urge the select board to deny the extension request for the reasons outlined below. As surrounding towns typically stop serving alcohol earlier than the 2 AM cutoff, in our town could draw late night drinkers from outside areas, potentially leading to an increase in alcohol related incidents such as disorderly persons, disturbances, operators driving under the influence, and motor vehicle crashes. I anticipate that businesses operating until 2 AM inevitably result in increased noise, loitering, and disturbances in nearby residential areas. Many of our residents are already concerned about maintaining a peaceful environment, and this extension would likely exacerbate those issues. The increase in alcohol-related incidents would have a direct impact on the Upton Police Department's resources. These resources are not unlimited, and our current evening shift change mirrors to the current liquor license hours of Maya Grill. Calls for service received around shift changes allows the department to respond with incoming and outgoing personnel, while a 2 AM closing time would leave less officers available to respond to late night incidents and may divert personnel from other essential community duties. While I understand the applicant's desire to extend operating hours, the potential public safety and community costs outweigh the benefits. Our town has worked hard to maintain a balance between supporting local businesses and ensuring the safety and well-being of our residents. I respectfully recommend the board deny this request in the best interest of our community and public safety.
Okay, thank you. I think it really does. Brett, any questions? other
Yeah,
than-
I don't have any interest in extending the hours to 2 AM.
And
Neither
the,
do I.
Board has the sole jurisdiction to decide, even if Yeah, there's limited hours that you have to allow them to operate, but these are not within those hours, just so you know.
Yeah, I read that.
So,
Well, what about the part that I was reading through and maybe I misunderstood it? It seemed to imply somehow that like anything after even 1 AM you can't do by, is that a mass general law that's in there or what is that?
There are certain hours you
One of
can't
those
deny them
guidelines.
from opening up at 11. But you also can't change the hours and when their initial license came before you,
Yeah,
quite generous than the hours that you allowed them.
yeah,
However, the hours listed online of the
Yeah.
operating hours are a lot shorter.
narrower than what's actually on the license.
Correct.
okay,
Right. So I mean, they could potentially extend within the license that we've already granted them
Yeah.
to try to get more hours, right? But I definitely don't want to extend it.
They can open up the restaurants within the hours that you've set.
Right,
However,
yeah, so,
it's my recommendation that I was to have them, even though the permit goes to that time, that they must ask for last call an hour before that. And fortunately, your licenses don't have that listed.
Yeah.
So.
Okay.
So they can serve right up until the hour.
which they're not currently doing because they're closing 2 hours before, 2 or 3 hours before that.
Posted time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
Right. So any further discussion? Do I hear a motion?
I don't think we need a motion. Do we need a
Do
motion?
we need
Yeah,
a motion to deny?
Well, yeah, I think if you should take a position, they can always come in and, they do have a right to.
Okay, I make a motion to
Deal.
deny the request for Maya Grill to extend their liquor license to 2 AM.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous?
It's based on the police chief.
Yep.
Recommendation.
Yeah.
Okay, next would be discussion and vote on selection of town manager search firms.
So to the chair, I
Yes.
put this on here for discussion purposes, not necessarily a vote. Just wanted to make sure that the board received everything in their packet for both. You have 3 vendors that
Yes.
have applied for that particular position, and you have a group of individuals who have showed interest in the committee
Mhm.
itself. And I was anticipating we would probably want to, if it's the board's pleasure, set these up for your next meeting to either interview all or some, whatever the board's pleasure is.
I think I don't know what's on our next agenda, but if time permits, I definitely would like to have all 3 consultants come in and speak. I think personally, when our town lawyer candidates came in, I was changed by the in-person presentation. And so I'd like to have those 3. Reading through all of, once we bring a consultant on, then they recommended a search committee, but I would, if we have time, I wouldn't mind asking all candidates to come in and speak. If it turns into something where a couple can't make it, we could be, if we now have a consultant on board, we may be able to extend them later. Let's see, if hopefully everybody can come and attend either telephone or in person, so we can at least ask their opinion. I always feel bad when somebody volunteers for something and they don't show up and we pass over them simply because they didn't show up, and who knows why. So anybody watching, plan out our next meeting. If,
You got it set at 50.
she's cold.
He's cold. He's
Okay, those 2 are freezing. They're not just cold, they're freezing. All right.
blowing down here.
Oh, and look at that. We roll right into discussion of future agenda topics. Look at that.
So we're getting ready for a crunch time for a town meeting.
Yes.
And I know that the board's next meeting, I believe, is the 23rd. So the only thing I wanted to offer is perhaps since that meeting's already established, perhaps after that, we want to talk about more frequency of meetings leading up to town meeting to be able to do this business, because there's quite a bit of it to do. And I didn't know how the board felt about that.
Well, we have to get it done, and if we need more meetings, we need more meetings.
I'm not suggesting that we have to meet every single week, but probably to get through the hearings and all of the articles and whatnot, we might want to step it up a little bit. If we do the every 2 weeks, the town meeting will be here before you know it. And I don't know that we will have gone through everything we need to go through.
We'll just have a repeated January and February where we saw lots of each other.
That's why I put that on.
Okay, I think Dennis, what we did in January and February was we kind of played it by ear and we said, you know what, we didn't get through it. Let's do it next week, or let's do it
Okay.
even on and off time.
Sure.
That was convenient for the board and for those involved. So,
Well, it looks like we tabled a few things tonight. It wouldn't hurt to work next week with.
so, yes. Okay, so,
Madam Chair, if I may
yes,
put my finance committee hat on,
love it.
if we're gonna get that doing this,
hmm
seeing these articles, perhaps we could do
A joint meeting.
But
Yeah.
the finance committee here, the proponents of the article, at the same time you are,
Yes,
just to say it.
yes, I'm a great one. Let's multitask. Let's get everybody in the same room. You know, and everybody hears it once. Everybody hears the same questions. Everybody hears the same answers.
Just, I'll leave it, I just want to point out one thing, the room here, maintenance, so you can't use community preservation money.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you. All right. Is there anything else we need to discuss about future agenda?
No, I think that solves it for me. Just want to know how the board wanted to handle it, because I know it's gonna get tight.
Okay, minutes. Everybody read them.
Mm-hmm.
Good to go.
Good to go. Any, no questions or comments? Sue has a finger up.
Would you kindly pass over the the last meeting? We did not have
Okay, yeah.
to complete the
Okay, that's fine.
timeline. Thank you.
First and the fifth.
Okay, so the 1st and the 5th, yes. So do I hear a motion on the meeting minutes from the 1st and the 5th?
I move that we approve the executive session minutes of August 1st and the regular meeting minutes of August 5th.
Second the motion.
All in favor? Unanimous. And we're passing over minutes from August 26th and we'll put
26th.
those in this on the 23rd.
Yep, thank you.
Okay. So hearing nothing else at this point, I would adjourn the regular meeting. And we will be moving into executive session. Can I have a motion to do so?
Enter it.
Enter into executive session.
I move pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 214, Section 1B, and Mass General Law, Chapter 4, Section 7, Clause 26C, to discuss financial assistance to a resident in need, and the board will not return to open session.
Second the motion.
All in favor, roll call vote.
Maureen Dwinell, aye.
Brett Simon's aye.
Laura have I.